Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents In This Moment, 5 Steps to Transcending Stress Using Mindfulness and Neuroscience, by Kirk D. Strosahl, Ph.D., and Patricia J. Robinson, Ph.D. Narrated by Daniel Henning. Publisher's Note: this publication is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regard to the subject matter covered. It is sold with the understanding that the publisher is not engaged in rendering psychological, financial, legal, or other professional services. If expert assistance or counseling is needed, the services of a competent professional should be sought. Additionally, this audiobook includes exercises for the listener. Prompts for having a pen and paper available have been added to applicable exercises. Introduction. Stress researchers used to believe that the impact of big life events, such as divorce, natural catastrophes, or the death of a loved one, were the biggest threats to our health and well-being. Then they discovered that the real threat to emotional and physical health is the day-in, day-out stress of living in modern society. Indeed, the pace of modern life seems to be accelerating ever more quickly, as one innovation after another is introduced to create efficiency in our daily routines, from how we communicate with one another to how work is done on an assembly line. We believe these changes are adding to, not easing, the problem of daily stress. As people get more efficient, they tend to just add more things to their to-do lists, rather than devoting the time saved to leisure pursuits and relaxation. The clients we work with continue to complain about the same high stress levels we were hearing about 1 or 2 decades ago. As it turns out, you don't have to be a victim of major life events to have your health permanently affected by stress. The daily hassles of modern life can do the job very nicely. Stress-related diseases like hypertension, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and cancer are at all-time highs, and nearly 50% of people over age 60 have at least one chronic disease that directly results from and is made worse by stress. Many risk factors for developing chronic disease are often simply ill-fated attempts to cope with daily stress. Eating can reduce stress, but may also lead to obesity. Smoking is relaxing, but leads to heart disease and cancer. Mental and social health are also directly affected by stress, with daily stress having been linked to problems with depression, anxiety, and anger, to name a few. Stress affects relationships with partners, children, family, friends, co-workers, and others. In general, it seems that most people have a very limited toolkit for dealing with the daily stress of life and could benefit from learning a few more tricks. The benefits of a mindfulness-based lifestyle. This book is driven by our desire to promote a new approach to contemporary living and the stress it produces. We believe that adopting a mindfulness-based lifestyle allows people to be in the present moment, experience the joy of being alive, and act with a sense of life purpose. Why would mindfulness act as a protective factor against the ravages of daily stress? The short answer is that when uncontrolled, stress-related physiological arousal creates toxic neurochemical reactions in the brain and internal organs that can damage both physical and mental health. Mindfulness strategies activate portions of the nervous system that function to offset and control the harmful physiological effects of stress. The better you get at using mindfulness strategies in your daily routine, the more able you'll be to regulate the noxious impacts of stress. Apart from this important benefit, practicing mindfulness in daily life can produce positive changes in mental outlook, improve social health, and increase mental efficiency. The skills taught in this book are based in cutting-edge research into the core facets of mindfulness. It turns out that mindfulness is not just one skill. It's a collection of unique abilities, each of which is important for creating a stress-transcending lifestyle. As with any lifestyle change, bringing mindfulness to daily living involves a commitment to practice, even if for just a few minutes each day, mental or physical behaviors that bring you into direct contact with life on life's terms. Fortunately, practicing mindfulness strategies on a regular basis actually strengthens neural networks in the brain, making it increasingly easy to be mindful in times of stress. If you make the same commitment to training your brain that you make to exercising your body, you can experience powerful benefits, and you can experience them immediately. This is good news indeed, as many of these benefits, particularly positive mental health, healthy relationships, and improved cognitive efficiency, were previously thought to accrue only after years of daily meditation or mindfulness practice. Neuroscience and mindfulness. There has been explosion of interest in understanding how to integrate concepts in neuroscience and mindfulness to promote better physical and psychological health. Contrary to earlier tenets of neuroscience, we now know that the brain is a dynamic organ that can alter the strength of its neural circuits to adapt to the demands of the immediate environment, a phenomenon known as neuroplasticity. The main implication of neuroplasticity is that with training, the brain can perform new functions or strengthen its existing functions. Research indicates that brain training involving mindfulness practices can strengthen areas of the brain responsible for attention, emotional control, and problem solving. Indeed, if you search the internet for brain training programs, you'll probably be surprised at the number, scope, and sophistication of products available to the general public. At this point, it's clear that the routines people practice in daily life directly strengthen the underlying neural networks that support those routines. There is even emerging evidence that mindfulness-based brain training produces permanent structural changes in the brain. About this book. This book is written to explain the relationship between stress, mindfulness, and neuroscience in as simple a way as possible. Therefore, we've made a dedicated effort to reduce the use of technical terms. We've also organized the book so that it's simple and easy to follow. In Part 1, A New Perspective on Dealing with Daily Stress, there are 3 chapters designed to help you get your feet on the ground, assess where you are right now, and create your learning plan. In Chapter 1, we'll teach you more about daily stress and help you assess your current symptoms of daily stress. We'll also introduce the concept of mindfulness and link it to a neuroscience-based model of stress. In Chapter 2, we'll discuss the challenges of practicing mindfulness in the context of having a mind that doesn't necessarily want to cooperate. Your mind functions as a kind of internal advisor, and often its advice is for you to avoid, escape from, or ignore stress rather than confront it in a healthy way. We'll explain how attempts to escape from or avoid dealing with stressful emotions are what actually activates the stress arousal system. Practicing mindfulness strategies will stimulate a different part of your nervous system, one that produces profound states of calm, detachment, and tranquility. In Chapter 3, we'll describe the 5 basic mental skills that collectively contribute to living mindfully. We'll help you assess your strengths and weaknesses in each of these 5 areas. You can then use the results of these self-assessments to create a skills development plan to guide your practice of mindfulness. Part 2, 5 Steps to Transcending Stress, has 5 chapters, each examining one of the 5 core aspects of mindfulness in detail: observing, describing, detaching, loving yourself, and acting mindfully. Each chapter includes a number of brain training exercises to help you strengthen the underlying neural circuitry of the brain that's responsible for that particular facet of mindfulness. These exercises are usually fun and quite brief, and can be practiced on the fly as part of your daily routine. We also present a number of new mindfulness techniques or practices in each chapter. It's okay to pace your practice of these techniques as you work your way through the book. If a particular brain training exercise is new to you, continue to practice it until you feel you're pretty good at it, Then move on to another exercise. Part 3. Developing a mindful lifestyle. We'll help you design a mindfulness-based lifestyle and put it into practice. In Chapter 9, you'll complete a more comprehensive assessment of daily stresses in your life and identify activities that help you recharge your batteries. We call the latter daily helpers, and they will be an important part of your stress balancing act. Chapter 10 invites you to identify ways you can engage in a daily regimen of self-restorative behaviors and offers some simple mindfulness techniques that you can integrate into your self-care routines. Chapter 11 will help you take a more mindful approach to work or school. It will also help you expand your definition of work so that you can put work or school stress in better perspective. We'll give you some practical mindfulness techniques that you can use before, during, and after work or school. Chapter 12 explores bringing more mindfulness to relationships, a key approach, given that positive social connections are so important in reducing the impact of daily stress. We'll give you a series of simple and fun mindfulness practices that can improve your connections with the people you care about. Some of the exercises in this book invite you to write about your experience, whether keeping a record of daily hassles, exploring your reactions to stress, or drafting a plan to create a lifestyle that transcends stress. For some exercises, you'll find downloadable worksheets or other materials at newharbinger.com/31274. Alternatively, you can create your own versions of these forms. While working your way through this book, you may wish to keep a special journal for completing the exercises and for writing any thoughts or ideas you have about what you learn. An invitation. When we first dreamed and schemed about writing this book, two main ideas stood out. First, we wanted to keep the concepts of mindfulness simple so as not to overwhelm you with a bunch of airy-fairy New Age stuff. Second, we wanted to give you practical, doable strategies that can fit the typical lifestyle in this day and age. We know that you don't have a lot of extra time on your hands and that the stressful demands of daily living won't go away. Thus, the strategies we'll teach you are portable and don't require a lot of time. They're the kind of things you can do as part of your morning routine, while you're commuting, during a break at work or at home, during lunch hour, while leaving time for you to eat a nutritious lunch, as part of an after-work wind-down routine, or as part of your bedtime routine. One thing we do ask is that you be persistent. Just as you have to exercise on a somewhat regular basis to improve your physical fitness, you can expect the benefits of mindfulness strategies to increase as you practice them consistently. As we like to say, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. We sincerely hope that you take us up on this invitation to revitalize your life and transcend daily stress in the process. Part 1. A new perspective on dealing with daily stress. Chapter 1. Stress, Mindfulness, and Neuroscience. Reality is the leading cause of stress among those in touch with it. Jane Wagner. Chances are you picked this book up because you're concerned about the amount of stress you're experiencing and want to do something about it. Congratulations on your decision to do something about stress in your life before it gets the better of you. Being stressed out is a very unpleasant place to be. It affects all aspects of your health and well-being, including how your body functions, causing indigestion, headaches, diarrhea, sleep difficulties, appetite loss, and a host of other problems. Your emotional health, leading to moodiness, sadness, anxiety, and so on. Your mental focus, resulting in loss of concentration, forgetfulness, and distractibility. And your relationships with others, due to irritability, withdrawing from others, isolating yourself, and the like. If you're experiencing any of these symptoms of stress, we want to assure you that you are definitely not alone. A national survey conducted by the American Psychological Association, 2010, found that 7 in 10 Americans suffer from physical symptoms due to stress, and 67% report that they experience high levels of daily stress. The main culprits causing their stress will undoubtedly sound familiar to you: lack of money, housing costs, job instability, work pressure, the economy, relationship problems, personal health concerns, health problems of loved ones, and concerns about personal safety. At the same time, 60% of those surveyed reported that they didn't take care of themselves very well. Only 1 out of 4 people reported exercising regularly, and half of the people surveyed reported concerns about their physical health, along with a variety of unhealthy coping behaviors such as overeating, skipping meals, or alcohol or drug abuse. It's a commonly accepted fact that chronic stress is also associated with the development of physical illnesses such as hypertension, high blood pressure, heart attack, stroke, diabetes, and cancer. What most people don't appreciate is that the psychological distress triggered by stress can be a much stronger factor in producing heart attacks, strokes, and other adverse cardiovascular events than the risk factors we so often hear about through the media, such as smoking, obesity, or lack of exercise. To make matters worse, prolonged exposure to stress is associated with the development of mental health problems. For example, about 50% of the people surveyed reported recurrent problems with depression, anxiety attacks, worry, irritability, anger management issues, or sleep problems. Because unresolved stress can be harmful to your physical and mental health, we want to congratulate you for taking on this problem right now, before things get worse. We want to help you transcend stress and create a vital, purposeful life in the process. In this book, you'll learn a practical and highly portable 5-pronged approach to building a personal sanctuary from stress and its ongoing negative effects on your mental and physical health. Inside this sanctuary, you can be aware of the stress around you without being consumed by it. You can be aware of your emotions, thoughts, memories, or physical symptoms without having to struggle with them. You can love yourself for who you are, warts and all. You can connect with what matters to you in your life and act with a sense of a personal mission. As you hear the concepts in this book and practice the skills we outline, consider this your quest to turn yourself from Velcro, where every little stress sticks to you, even when you try to fling it off, to Teflon, where stress just slides off you without any effort at all. Daily hassles. It's the small stuff that gets you. While it is true that big life events such as divorce, bankruptcy, or the death of a spouse have a negative impact on health and mental well-being, it appears that the small daily stresses of everyday living exert an even greater influence in the long term. In this book, we sometimes use the phrase daily hassles to describe this kind of daily stress. One long-term study of daily hassles showed that they had a direct negative impact on physical health problems nearly a decade later, particularly among people with high levels of stress. Daily hassles function somewhat like the ancient Chinese practice of water torture. 1 drop of water on your head doesn't seem like much until you've spent days on end experiencing 1 drop of water at a time. A key factor to consider is that dealing with daily hassles is really a lifestyle issue, and therefore anti-stress measures need to be a basic part of your daily routine. The good news is, you don't need to use heroic coping measures, as might be the case with a major life event. Instead, you need to have a reliable set of daily go-to strategies that help you transcend daily stress and recharge your batteries. On the downside, because chronic daily stress isn't likely to go away, it can be very tempting to try to ignore it or minimize its impact. You might think about how good you have it compared to someone you know. Oh, my stress isn't all that bad. Look at my neighbor Sam. He lost his son in Afghanistan. Now that's real stress. In other words, people tend to turn a blind eye to daily stress, assuming that it's just a part of living and there's nothing they can do about it. Only when their health or mental health collapses do they take action, and by then, it's often too late. Over time, daily hassles wear you down and decrease your motivation to participate in life. You might start going through each day rather mindlessly, living life on autopilot and doing things by force of habit, rather than out of desire. It's also kind of like cruise control, where you just push a button and the car takes over some of the main functions of driving. This might work well on a long road trip, but it sure doesn't work as a strategy for living a vital, purposeful life. When you're just trying to get through the day, you're much more likely to skip activities that could promote your sense of vitality and being truly alive. For example, instead of going to the movies with your children, you might make an excuse and get your spouse to go with them. Then, when they're gone and you're home alone, you might just take a nap or watch a TV rerun in a mindless kind of way. Exercise, Stress Observation Survey, or SOS. Before we teach you more about our approach to stress, we'd like you to take this short survey. It will help you get a better idea about how much daily stress might be affecting you. These items reflect some of the typical daily experiences that result from stress and living on autopilot. Have a pen and paper ready. Listen to each item and jot down a note if that item applies to you. I feel tapped out by the end of a typical day. I feel rushed even when I'm running on time. I have trouble doing things at a slower pace even when I have the time. I tend to think about what's coming up in my day rather than being in the here and now. I often want to be left alone when I get home from work or school. I find myself sighing a lot during the day. My eyes often burn early in the day. I often forget to take breaks because of the pressure I'm under. I find it difficult to relax even when I have free time. When I have free time, I prefer activities that help me zone out. I have trouble motivating myself to do things that are healthy for me. I feel exhausted by the end of the day much of the time. I feel like I'm always running behind. I feel like I'm always multitasking, even at home. I often find myself daydreaming when I'm with my partner or children. I tend to bring my work or school stress home with me. I often wake up at night and think about things that are stressing me out. I notice that I get impatient and irritable about little things. I often do things like household tasks without even thinking about them. I feel like taking time to relax means I'll just fall behind on some duty or responsibility. Do any of these items ring a bell for you? If so, it's likely that daily stresses are building up and impacting how you're functioning. Often this effect is very subtle and only becomes obvious when you take a minute to review how you're doing. We want to help you stop this process from snowballing to the point where stress damages your mental or physical health. Exercise, Recording Daily Hassles and Helpers. Even at this early point in the book, it might be useful for you to begin thinking broadly about some of the daily hassles you face and recording them. Right now, our main purpose is to get you thinking about this type of insidious stress and the specific forms it might take for you. Later, in Chapter 9, we'll lead you through a comprehensive self-assessment of these annoying, mood-damaging daily events. As suggested earlier, you might also have some daily helpers. Go-to behaviors that help you recharge your batteries and offset the draining effect of daily stress. Start noticing and listing your helpers now in a Daily Hassles and Helpers log. Later, in Part 3 of the book, we'll guide you in creating a lifestyle plan in which you deliberately balance daily hassles with daily helpers. You'll find a downloadable worksheet you can use to record your daily stresses and helpers at newharbinger.com/31274. Alternatively, you can create a similar form, perhaps in your journal for this book, using the 3 columns in the downloadable worksheet. Day of week and time on the left, daily hassle in the center, and daily helper on the right. If you don't like to use tables or structured records, it's okay if you simply make free-form notes. The main purpose of this exercise is to help you start thinking about these issues in your life a little differently. Later on, we'll use the information you've collected to develop a new approach that will help you transcend stress. Victims of daily stress. As practicing psychologists, we see firsthand the devastating effects of stress on the lives of people who come to us seeking help. One of the most notable aspects of the stories clients tell us about stress is how ordinary life events, piled one on top of another, can end up creating one stressed-out human being. Daily hassles are really sneaky. Taken one at a time, they don't seem dangerous, but when they pile up on you, significant problems can arise. The following true-life examples will give you a glimpse of the huge variety of daily stressors out there and how they can unravel a human life. Mary's story. Mary fell victim to stress in her late 20s. She graduated from college on schedule, then broke up with her long-term boyfriend to pursue career opportunities and explore other options in relationships. The career ladder turned out to be very difficult to climb, requiring excessive work hours and too few financial incentives. Mary was particularly upset when she was passed over for a promotion that she thought she deserved. She experimented with going to happy hour with some coworkers and noticed that having a few drinks helped her relax and eased her bad attitude about her workplace. Soon, she fell into a pattern of drinking at home after work, and before long, she started drinking most of the day on weekends. It wasn't until a close friend mentioned that her drinking seemed to be getting the best of her that Mary decided to do something about it. She consulted an employee assistance program specialist at work, who taught her some deep breathing exercises and recommended that she practice them 4 to 5 times daily. The breathing strategies helped when she remembered to do them, but her long work hours and limited time for herself made regular practice difficult. Her counselor recommended that she set an alarm on her smartphone to remind her to practice. On several occasions, the alarm went off while she was in the middle of a meeting at work and she couldn't excuse herself. After a while, being reminded to practice deep breathing annoyed her and made her even more anxious about the fact that she wasn't taking care of herself as she should. One day, she turned the alarm off for good. Bob's story. Bob began struggling with stress in his 30s. The company he worked for started experiencing financial problems. As a result, his workload increased, but his pay didn't. He was married and had 2 young children, and his wife was getting frustrated with him because she felt that the long hours Bob worked indicated that he was more committed to his job than to her and the kids. Bob couldn't see any way out of his situation, especially because his job was crucial for supporting his family. Over time, intimacy with his wife and interactions with his kids declined to the point that he was spending most of his time at home watching TV or surfing the internet. Bob started to experience more and more symptoms of depression, and he found that eating helped ease his depressed feelings, at least temporarily. Over a 2-year period, Bob gained 45 pounds and was eventually diagnosed with diabetes. He believed that his weight made him unattractive to his wife, so he avoided her even more. He also felt guilt for letting his health go and often forgot to monitor his blood sugar level. Bob's physician asked him to start walking at least 30 minutes a day and recommended an internet program that could track his daily calorie intake and walking. However, Bob had never been into exercise, and now his weight made walking physically uncomfortable. He also felt self-conscious and was sure that other people were judging him because of his weight. Still, he found a coworker he liked who was willing to walk with him every day during their lunch hour. They walked several times, but then Bob's department was assigned a new project that made it difficult for him to do anything other than, as he put it, gobble, gulp, and go. Bob kept making excuses for not walking with his coworker, and eventually his coworker stopped asking.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?